Hey yo, what's going on with everybody today? We got some videos today. I broke my foot at work. I broke it at work. Okay, I didn't break it. Okay, let's be more clear here. I tore it. I tore my foot. Sometimes I gotta walk with crutches, sometimes I don't. I prefer to walk on crutches sometimes because my armpits hurt, but it helps at work. But I don't gotta pay for my surgery. Anyways, all these videos today have to do with a broken foot, leg, toe. I don't know. We got some crazy ones. We got it from a bunch of different subreddits here. Am I the Assholes? A new one, which I will tell you guys about later. Not a new one for me, but a new one to you guys. Anyways, let's get right into the video. Our first video today is, am I the asshole for going to the ER in an Uber with a broken foot? Bitch, what? Wait. Pause. Okay, I guess we'll find out, won't we? Firstly, I'm in Australia, so thankfully it's not a scenario where the true asshole is the healthcare system. But in saying that, I didn't call an ambulance even though I couldn't even step on it because we're having massive backlogs with our paramedic teams and there was an unexpected ramp time, aka waiting outside in the cold on an ambulance stretcher for an hour and a half at this particular point in time. The assholes aren't. You know what, whatever, okay. On Saturday afternoon, I, female 21, managed to trip over a rug that had flipped up and I fell on my foot. Heard a crack, tried to stand up and couldn't for a few minutes. When I could eventually stand, I made my way to the couch with an ice pack and iced it for 20 minutes. When I pulled it away, I immediately noticed how swollen and bruised it already was and realized it probably needed some medical attention. Where I am, the doctors had all closed at 2 p.m.? What? Okay. And the only one open was a shady one that doesn't look bulk bill and costs a lot of extra on the weekend. Were we not just saying that it's not the healthcare system that is fucked up? Okay. Something I couldn't really afford, especially not knowing they would have sent me straight to the hospital anyway. When we got to the hospital, I asked him to drive around to the back entrance where emergency was. A 200 meter to 300 meter drive? I'll do that math later. And he refused, stating that it was too much to ask of him. As I went to get out, he scolded me for getting an Uber and said this wasn't his job and that I should have called an ambulance. He told me I was putting him at risk because now I could pretend I did this in his car and sue him. I told him I wouldn't and got out of the car. He sped off and thankfully someone had left a hospital wheelchair at the door, so once I got a nod from the nurse on door duty, I popped myself in it and wheeled myself internally to the ER where I got treated and given a walking cast and a very uncomfortable pair of crutches. Period. Fuck the crutches. When I got home, however, my neighbor, who I didn't know very well, asked what happened and I told him. He agreed with the Uber driver and said I was really irresponsible to put him in that position because he had to assume duty of care for me. So am I the asshole? Quick ninja edit, forgot to say that my foot was diagnosed as broken a bone along my ankle bone. I'm in a boot and on crutches for 6 weeks at this point. At least it's getting colder and my foot will be warm in the boot and you're gonna fall on the ice in the pair of crutches. Story for a different time. Okay. You didn't want to call an ambulance. Why though? I didn't really see a reason why you didn't want to call the ambulance. You didn't want to sit around in a hospital during a pandemic for hours. This was 3 years ago. So I did call 000 and was informed about rampings, decided to call an Uber. The guy seemed a little surprised when he saw me using my housemate's shoulder to hop into the Uber, but seemed to recover quickly. Okay, that's my bad. I totally skipped over that one. Okay, pause. So you didn't want to sit around in a hospital during a pandemic for hours? I totally get that. The healthcare system needs more people. It needs more support. Anywhere, not just Merca. Okay, so this is... Okay, So I kind of feel like you are a little bit of the asshole for calling an Uber. I mean, I kind of understand why you didn't, for obvious reasons. I feel like the Uber driver was being really mean, though. I feel like he was being kind of a dick, in my personal opinion. Alright, let's get into some of these comments. Resident emergency physician here, going with not the asshole. I agree that there have been problems with Ubers being used inappropriately as makeshift ambulances, but you're a patient in stable condition and an ambulance transfer to the hospital can be considered overkill. If you would help to get in and out of the car, I would actually expect most similar injuries in a young person to arrive by car. I've never had an Uber driver refuse to drive me like 200 meters extra for the right entrance either. So it sounds like this guy was just an asshole. The thing about suing him is just weird. Any person could theoretically false blame an Uber driver for an injury they sustained around the time of the ride. Okay, actually, I see where they're coming from. Stable condition, and when I broke my foot the first time and this time, I arrived by car both times. So, okay, I see it. OP agreed with this person, saying, I agree, like if bones were protruding or bleeding or anything like that, then no, I would have 100% called an ambulance and not an Uber. But at this point, I kind of knew what would happen, minus the verbal abuse in both scenarios, and knew I'd be much more comfortable in the warmer waiting room, propping my foot up versus being out in the cold ambulance bay. I've never gone by ambulance anywhere, so I don't really know how that works, especially in Australia. But if it's that cold, we gotta do something about it, because what the hell? This other person says, last time I walked into the ER with severe abdominal pain, thought I had appendicitis, turned out to be a kidney stone. I didn't even get triage. The lady at the desk wrote down my complaint and told me to sit in the waiting room. No physical exam, HR, BP, etc. I got to spend 90 minutes in agony, bent over in a chair while the ER was a ghost town. What the fuck? Sounds American to me. Yeah, okay. A lot of the comments are just agreeing with this person, so I'm gonna go ahead and say not the asshole. That's what I'm saying. Like, the weird, like, oh, you're gonna sue me is a really weird comment to make in my personal opinion, okay? Yeah, I'm gonna go, the verdict on this one was not the asshole. So let's go ahead and get right next into the next story. Am I the asshole for not helping my brother after he broke his leg? Maybe. We'll read. Okay, so the title makes me sound awful, but hear me out. You are being hurt. I've been sick for a month, but no one knows what it is. Thankfully, not COVID. Basically, I'm in bed sleeping most of the day, and when I'm not sleeping, I'm exhausted. Walking down one flight of stairs can feel like I've just been rock climbing. Oof. I've had blood tests for anything that would match the symptoms, but nothing came up abnormal. My 17 female brother, 23 male, broke his leg about a week ago trying to prove he could jump downstairs. Why? Because his case is urgent. He needs surgery to join a piece of the bone. Oh, same. Most of the focus has been on him, so I'm alone for about most of the day unless I have friends come over to help with catching up on schoolwork. So I've gotten pretty depressed, and that has in turn made me feel worse. The last week since he broke his leg, he's been making a lot of jokes about how I might have cancer / a brain tumor. What the? You don't fuck around like that. Your loved ones should be one of the most important things to you. That is not funny. Unless they're making the jokes first, it's not funny. I mean, it's kind of a brother thing to do, but like, come on. Whenever we're in the same room and exhausted myself, which can include me having to sit down where I am, including on the floor, even if I'm near a chair. He'll ask me to get things for him, clear things for him. Our parents have obviously been dotting on him, and they're usually in the room and happy to help him, but he wants me to do it. This can lead to me exhausting myself, getting him things at lunch, and being too tired to eat. After a week, I'm just done. I'm avoiding him so I don't have to do things for him, even if it means he has to wait until someone is free. And I feel like a bit of an asshole because he needs crutches to get around, so he has a harder time than me reaching or opening things. It also sucks that when my friends are over, he interrupts us while we're studying. I have about 2 hours a day of energy to study and will tease me by insulting me or calling me lazy, saying I'm expendable because I'm the third child, so who cares if it's serious? Okay, I don't care. I'm one of 11 children. I don't care how many fucking children you have. They are not. That is such a brother thing to say. Don't get me wrong. That's a super brother thing to say, but like, what the fuck? That's so mean. I've been lectured by our parents and told to be nicer and more considerate. He needs to be. And since I have the energy burst, I'm really not that sick anymore. Feel like I'm in the right not to help him, but it feels a bit like revenge. Am I the asshole? What the fuck? Okay, I don't care if he has. When I had a broken bone, I was so embarrassed to ask people for help, and that's like me, you know what I mean? Men are a little different, people who are a little different. You're 23 years old picking on your 17-year-old sister like that. Grow up. That is so mean. Like, my 30-year-old brother don't even act like that. Like, that's just rude. Ugh, that is so mean. Like, who says that? That's not funny. That's not funny. No, not the asshole. You should just fucking hit him with his own crutch. Let's just get into these comments. Sorry, OP, your brother and parents are treating you very badly. Agreed. Especially that they don't know what the sickness. Especially since they don't know what the sickness is. They don't know what the sickness is and they're still out here acting like that. Who are these people? I know I said I would say it once, but I'm gonna say that shit again. Every child deserves a parent, but not every parent deserves a child, and clearly not every brother deserves a fucking sister. She's sick and she's still helping you, and now you're out here calling her fucking names? Ugh. What a disgusting, ugly person. Using crutches at 24 is not a big deal. Teasing you that you could have brain cancer, or on the contrary, it is. Stand up for yourself and go see your GP until you figure out what's going on with your lack of energy, not the asshole. I agree. You could have like some type of blood sugar thing, a high blood pressure thing. Like, it can be your heart, it can be your brain, it can be anything. Like, that is so bad. Somebody responded to that. Yeah, I've been on crutches most of my adult life. Sure, it's inconvenient, but getting lunch isn't a problem. Weird how I managed to live alone, do my own shopping, drive a car, go to school, work, shower, clean the house, make my own food, and even host dinner parties, all while on crutches, but he can't even make toast. This is the shit I'm fucking talking about. I think I pressed a button. This is the shit I'm fucking talking about. This is the shit I'm talking about. That is so mean. I don't mean to get like, but like, what the fuck? That is some disgusting behavior. That is disgusting behavior from a 23-year-old man. Luckily, this was from 4 years ago. There's not an update. What a disgusting, disgusting person. Let's just get right into the other story, because I can't even fathom what's happening here. You guys know my view. Not the asshole. Fucking hit him. Throw him down the stairs, since he thinks he can jump them. Next story. I broke my hand last year to get out of my final exams. That is genius. Okay, let's get into the story. Yeah, so around this time last year, this was edited 2 years ago, I hadn't studied at all, and my parents are stupid strict about getting good grades. Anyways, I decided the only way out was to get injured. I did goddamn research on ways to break your hand and finally decide to take a dumbbell weight and bring it down on my right wrist a few times. That is psychopath behavior. That is insane work. Well, it worked and I got out of the exam, and thankfully my dumbass choice didn't cause permanent damage. I had a cast on for a month. I remembered this today because it's been almost exactly a year, and today I was pushing my door open and my wrist started stinging. Also, Doc gave me a small scare of me needing surgery at the time. Luckily, didn't need for it. That's not English. As the damage wasn't that bad, but he was suspicious of me. My cover story was that I slipped in my room and my hand hit the corner of my desk. Man, that was an extremely stupid thing to do. Thankfully, nothing worse happened, so yeah, don't do what I did, kids. Study. Stay in school. Stay in school. Do what you need to do. I understand. Don't do it for your parents. If that's stressing you out, I'm sorry that your parents did that to you. That's so sad. Do it for you. Don't even think about them. Do that shit for you and no one else. Let's get into some of these comments. I actually find this post really sad and disturbing. It's horrific that parents would put so much pressure on their kids they'd injure themselves like this. I agree. OP responded to that saying, it was just me being scared. My parents never found out, but honestly, wouldn't have done anything bad to me. They would have just been pissed, and a year ago, that used to scare me. I don't know, just being stupid. I don't know, that's like super... Wow, there's a big reply to what OP said. Look, man, people get desperate and do crazy, stupid things, but that's just part of life. One time in high school, I totally leveraged an injury, dislocated a collarbone. Damn! To get sent home from school and miss a class where I was supposed to turn in an essay and I had forgotten to write. The injury wasn't horribly painful or distracting, but it did kind of look freaky, and I took full advantage. That all being said, unrelated to that specific incident, I did end up spending years in therapy learning to unpack the ways I was dependent on toxic amounts of pressure to be productive. I had undiagnosed ADHD and learned to use ungodly amounts of psychological pressure to handle basic things. Eventually, that wore me down and caused a lot of problems that really messed with my life. Depression, terrible performance in college, etc. My situation was/is not your situation, but if you feel like you tend to operate under a constant level of unhealthy pressure, that might be worth sorting out sooner than later. Okay, clearly you went to therapy. Also, if anyone wants to know, the dislocated collarbone itself healed up fine, and I can no longer pop it in and out of place like that. I used to be able to do stretch out ligaments. Hey, that's what I broke in my foot. That looked really freaky, and that was a fun way to mess with people. I also suffered rotor cuff damage. That acts up plenty at the gym in my one shoulder. Probably should rehab that, but I don't have the time or money right now. Eventually, though, that'll be a priority before that shoulder deteriorates like I've seen some relatives of mine experience. Okay, so what they're telling OP is to go to therapy. Everybody, it's time for the rant. I mean, not like I haven't been ranting the whole time. It's time for that rant. Everybody needs therapy. Therapists need therapy. Doctors need therapy. Everybody needs therapy. Everybody should go to therapy. Therapy is good for everybody. It's not some crazy, like, stigma. Go to therapy. It doesn't make you crazy. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you, like... Go to therapy. If you can afford it, do it. And if you feel like you can't afford it, there are other things out there for you. Go to therapy. Let's get... That was crazy. r/confession never fails me. Let's go to the next one. Another r/confession. This one's from a year ago. I broke one of my bones on purpose to get out of going to school as a kid. Another one. I forgot about that one. Because I pick stories based off of just the title alone. And sometimes I waited 3 days to make this video, so sometimes I'd be forgetting what I saved. Let's read this story. I, 16 male, was 9. I really, and I mean really, hated school. I would do anything in my power to get a day off. Fake sick days, faking a high temperature, fake vomit, and so on. I got away with this for so many years, but people were starting to catch on and get suspicious. We had a trampoline buried in the ground in our yard. Okay, sick. And while I was on it one evening, I had a thought: if I broke a bone, then I can't go to school for weeks. Lies, they made me go to school. I was jumping really high, thinking how to do it, and rotated my legs so that I would land on my ankle and it would hit the metal frame and springs. As someone who's broken the same ankle twice, 7 years apart, what the fuck? I would never want to consciously do that. It hurts so bad. Let's keep reading. I didn't think it was possible to feel that level of pain, not just my leg, but all through my body. Yep, I landed on the side of my ankle, and my whole leg literally cracked. I didn't know. I don't know. I didn't do more damage than I did, to be honest. Spent the whole night in the hospital, and to my delight, I was put in a full leg cast thigh to ankle and sent home the next evening. Funnily enough, there's no funny in this. It didn't give me much time from school. Yep, I had 1 week of glorious breakfast in bed, video games, and terrible daytime TV, and then I had to use crutches for weeks on end at school, with people constantly trying to draw my cast. Yep. I feel bad about this. I've never confessed, and I don't think I can now after so many years. I don't know why I thought it would be a good idea to blatantly hurt myself for this kind of thing. I'm almost kind of worried for myself, Derby. And I was, and still might be, a little bit psychotic. Edit, people are genuinely concerned for my welfare. I'm okay. I ended up being homeschooled about a year after this. I just had some awful teachers, and the school actually ended up being shut down after I left. Damn. I am seeking therapy for a non-related issue, however. Thank you for your concerns. Everybody needs therapy. Let's get into some of these comments. You're crazy, homie. Break your own damn leg. What did the crack sound like? Opie said like crunching eggshells. Oh my god. Mine didn't sound like crunching eggshells. Mine sounded totally different. My roommate's home. She's so crazy. Somebody responded, you ever made the realization you would have had the same week of no school if you'd just gone for like 2 toes and just 1 foot? I imagine that thought hit you when you were 13 or so, and you felt really stupid. Not to say you're actually stupid. Kids are just idiots naturally. Watched a video of a toddler give a thumbs up for the first time, and you can practically see the neurons firing in his brain. For the first time, they fired off like that. His face was like, whoa. Okay, that's so funny. Yeah, I bet you really did, huh? Oh god, I didn't mean to break either of my butts. And what? I only broke 1 ankle twice. But yeah, that was actually wild. Let's get into the next story. So this next one is from Best of Redditor Updates. It says that it is currently ongoing. It is called My Son Broke His Bully's Nose. The first post ever was August 25th, 2023. I have done almost everything I could do regarding the situation. I've contacted the parents, I've contacted the school. The parents basically blew me off and told me that it was a situation of kids being kids. The school pretended to care but didn't do anything in their power to actually stop it. I have asked my son plenty of times if he wanted to switch schools, and it was always a no because he didn't want to leave his friend. I can understand that, considering he's had a rough go ever since he started school. But lately it has gone much worse. He's been shoving my son in the halls, lunch line, causing him to fall many times and call him things like retard and slow. He used to pick him up by his backpack and toss him onto the ground before he had a growth spurt, but now my boy is taller than most kids in his grade. 5th grade? Still, he didn't know how to stick up for himself. My wife always encouraged killing them with kindness, but it never worked in his favor, and I have told him repeatedly for the past year that he needs to stand up for himself and fight back. Yesterday he came home crying, and it just broke my heart seeing how much pain he was in. I wasn't mean to him, but I was very stern and told him that if he didn't fight back the next time, I was going to take him out of that school whether he liked it or not. Well, today I got a call from my wife after work, and she told me that what happened. He was on his way to lunch and got shoved into the ground, causing his knees to be a bit bruised. My son then got up and left hooked him right in the face, causing his nose to immediately bleed. My son said that the boy started to cry and even kind of felt bad. Heart of gold. His parents have contacted us. They're threatening to sue and told us that his nose had been broken. My wife is mad at me because I've been over the moon since. I don't condone violence, but in this situation, something had to be done. Anyone who thinks otherwise hasn't seen the pain of that little punk. That little punk has caused for my son. If his parents didn't want it to come to this, then they should have taken it more seriously when I told them about how much of an asshole their kid is. I had my fair share of bullies as a kid, and I never did anything about it. I'm glad that I'm raising a son that is much tougher than I was. I hope that this has taught him to never be afraid to stick up for himself. I am very proud dad today. Okay. Okay, I hate bullies. If you're a bully, go to therapy. God damn it. Bullies are just sad people. Adult bullies, kid bullies, they're sad and they have their own shit going on. Well, I'm glad that little punk got his fucking... I'm glad that your son got his revenge, because what the fuck? I want to start off by thanking everyone in support of my son for giving me some advice regarding their threats to sue. I would have replied to some of the comments, but I've been extremely busy at work and I haven't had the time. My wife has been in contact with some of the parents since and has suggested I stay out of it considering my short temper. That's probably for the best. It seems she's handling it well and thinks that they are not going to try and sue, which is good, because I'd be lying if I said that part of me wouldn't want to whip their asses in court. We're not too well off financially right now though, and I know that leaving it off at a broken nose is the best option. I saw all the comments saying how I should reward my son for doing what he did. So last night I bought him a video game he's been asking for and ordered pizza. It's not Disney World, but it's what I could afford to do. There's been a shift in his overall mood, and he even told me that he can't wait to go back to school Thursday. It seems the situation has given him a confidence boost, and I am loving it. This update might be a bit boring, but that is all I have. Thank you again for all the kind words you people had for both me and my son. I appreciate it. I don't know why this is ongoing, because that was a beautiful, beautiful update. Beautiful update. Everyone's tough until they get punched in the face. Hope the pizza was good. Period. Too many of y'all have never exchanged insults in person on a playground and been punched in the mouth. Period. Yeah, I love that story. It's a great revenge. It's awesome, honestly. It's what that bully needed. He needed to be humbled, and I'm glad that your son was the one to do it, honestly. I'm glad. Yeah. Let's go on to the next story. This next one is from the newer subreddit that we haven't gone into yet. It's called Petty Revenge. It says, "Kick my trash cans, will you? Enjoy the broken toe." Let's get into the story. This is kind of long, so I'm going to read it as fast as I can, okay? So I live in a low-income household area of the town I attend college in. I was initially drawn to the apartment I'm currently living in because it was extremely cheap on the second floor. This is a house converted into 2 living units. Oh, a duplex. I immediately signed the lease and everything was dandy for the first few weeks. However, I had taken notice that the neighbor's riffraff was wary to keep my distance. I wasn't exactly scared of a bunch of young teens, but after observing their absolutely appalling nature, I tried to give them no excuse to fuck with me, though vandalizing my car or apartment. Oh, not though. Oh my god. Okay. Well, not so long ago, I was sitting on my second-story porch enjoying a cigarette after a long, tedious shift when the teens decided to fuck with me. At first, I didn't realize they were speaking to me until one of them called out, "Hey, you in..." Oh my god. Oh my... I accidentally exited out of it. I'm gonna put what it says here, but I am not gonna say that. I mean, I'm gay, but I'm not saying that. Now, even though I'm not Indian, people often assume I am because of my skin tone, so I'm aware that they are attempting to heckle me. I look up and merely raise my eyebrows in acknowledgement when one of them kicks over my full garbage cans and tells me to get on my knees and pick up my trash. Insert random racist slurs here. Wow. They laugh and leave, knowing that I'll be fined by the city if I don't clean up the mess. I begrudgingly clean up the mess. It was while I was kneeling among the strewn garbage that my revenge came to fruition. A few nights later, I was sitting on my porch again, waiting for my targets to arrive. Sure enough, the pack of them come strutting down the road, talking shit and fucking things up. When they get to my house, I shout at them to keep it down and that they're being obnoxious. Just as I planned, they took my bait, and the one who had kicked over my trash cans a few days earlier told me I was and aimed a full force kick at my trash cans. Little did he know I had filled them to the bursting point with packed down rocks and dirt, making them extremely heavy and almost unmovable. I savored the moments leading up to the contact and burst out laughing when the garbage can failed to move and the kid howled in pain when his foot connected. Judging from the time he spent on the ground clutching his foot, the fact that he limped away on the verge of tears, I'm assuming he has a broken toe or two. I slept like a fucking king that night. 'Cause you are a king. 'Cause, that is so kids who act like that, like, if you're old enough to own a house, I mean, if you're old enough to pay rent, you should be old enough to not fucking act like a ignorant bitch. Ugh, like, that's just disgusting. I'm not gonna read any comments because this is the longest video I've made and I don't have the storage. I'm actually recording this on Snapchat if you can't tell. But, yeah, that story was actually insane. Thank you guys for watching today's video. I broke my foot by rolling it on a fatigue mat. If you don't know what a fatigue mat is, I will probably insert a photo. But yeah, I rolled it, and how I broke it in the 7th grade, I was running off of a basketball court from grabbing a bunch of volleyballs and throwing them into a basket. The person in front of me stopped too hard, and I was running, so I stopped, rolled it, and it fractured a toe, had a hairline fracture, had a mini fracture, and I've had floating bone and ligament just chilling in my ankle for the last 7 years. And then I've had what the doctor called a floppy ankle, which is why I roll it so easily and why I rolled it on the fatigue mat so easily on the slant. And I'm pretty sure I tore ligaments. I have to get an MRI, and I have to get surgery to put the bone back and to suture the ligaments that are hypothetically broken. I'm in a boot, I'm on crutches. That's basically the story. That's why I chose this week's what's it called? Yeah, that's why I chose today's topic of discussion. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for watching. I love you all who does watch, especially my #1 supporter. You know who you are. You guys have a good day.